You know, when you look at ancient Egyptian art, have you ever wondered why it looks so, well, so strange, so flat and rigid? It's a great question. And in this explainer, we're going to unravel that exact mystery. Let's get right into it.
So the main puzzle here is, it's a huge one actually. The ancient Egyptian style was just so consistent. I mean, you could look at a piece from 3000 BC and it looks almost identical to one from Cleopatra's time. That's thousands of years. So how on earth did one art style stick around, pretty much unchanged, for 3 whole millennia?
Okay, so let's set the scene. The whole tradition of Western art really kicks off about 5,000 years ago, right there in the Nile Valley. And that rigid, kind of weird style we see, it's not because they weren't good artists, not at all. It's because their art had a very specific and powerful job to do.
And to really get a grip on Egyptian art, you have to start with their beliefs about death. I know, a bit grim, but stick with me. For them, art wasn't about making something pretty to hang on a wall. Nope, it was a tool, a functional, almost magical tool that was absolutely essential for surviving in the afterlife.
You see, the Egyptians believed that for a soul to live forever, it needed a physical home. That's what the pyramids were all about, protecting the king's body. But they were practical. What happens if the body, decays? Well, they had a backup plan, a plan B. And that was a perfect, permanent statue carved from super hard stone that could act as a substitute home for that soul.
And get this, their own language tells us everything we need to know. The Egyptian word they used for sculptor, it literally means he who keeps alive. Isn't that amazing? The artist wasn't just chipping away at stone. They were performing a magical ritual. Their job was to literally keep someone alive forever.
Okay, so think about it. If your job is to make a magical container for someone's eternal soul, you can't just wing it, right? You can't get all creative and abstract. No way. There were super strict rules, like a sacred recipe that every single artist had to follow. Because for this magic to actually work, making sure everything was there, completeness, was way more important than making it look pretty.
And this gets us to the core logic of their whole style. It helps to think of an Egyptian artist not so much as a painter, but more like a map maker. Their goal wasn't to capture a quick snapshot from one angle. Their job was to show the complete truth of a person. Everything they knew was there, making sure every single part was clear and easy to recognize.
And here's how they did it. This is their system, and it's actually kind of brilliant. To show the most recognizable version of each body part, they just smashed different views together into one figure. So the head looks best in profile. An eye, you got to see it from the front. Shoulders and chest, straight on. But arms and legs, you want to see them from the side to show movement. It's like a logical blueprint for a person, designed for eternity.
There was another unbreakable rule, too, and this one was all about status. Size in Egyptian art has zero to do with perspective, things looking smaller in the distance. Nope. It's all about importance. The big boss, the pharaoh, the nobleman, is always the biggest person in the picture. And this wasn't just an artistic choice, it was political. By drawing the social hierarchy this way, they made it feel like this was the natural, eternal order of things.
But here's the thing. The Egyptian way wasn't the only way to do art back then, not by a long shot. And to really see just how unique it was, we're going to take a quick look at their neighbors, folks in Mesopotamia and Crete, because their different beliefs led to totally different art.
So here's the big takeaway. Purpose totally defines the style. Egyptian art, as we've seen, was magical. It was hidden away in tombs, meant to last forever. But Assyrian art, over in Mesopotamia, it was basically propaganda. It was meant to be seen by everyone, to scream, "Look how powerful our king is," to anyone who dared to look.
Think of Assyrian art as like an ancient war documentary, but one that was designed to terrify you. The carvings show these incredibly vivid, realistic scenes of the king just crushing his enemies. But here's a fun fact. You will never see a wounded Assyrian soldier, ever. It was all about projecting this image of unbeatable power. And because they often used baked brick instead of that super durable stone the Egyptians used, a lot less of it has survived to today, unfortunately.
And then you have the art from Crete, which is just a whole different world. It's the complete opposite of the Egyptian style. Cretan art is all about freedom, flow, and capturing swift, energetic movement. It really gives you a sense of a society that just loved life and motion and the natural world. A huge contrast to that stiff, eternal focus of the Egyptians.
All right, let's pull all these threads together and finally solve this puzzle. The real key to understanding all of this ancient art isn't to think about what the artists saw with their eyes in a single moment. It's about what they knew to be true and, most importantly, what job they needed their art to do. And here's the answer to our big question. The Egyptian style lasted for 3,000 years because its job was magical. It was sacred. The rules for keeping a soul alive weren't just about artistic preference. This was religious law. If you changed the style, you were literally gambling with someone's eternal soul, and nobody was going to do that.
And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. We might not believe our souls need a statue to survive after we're gone, right? But what are the magical beliefs we hold today? What unspoken rules about things like fame or beauty or success are shaping the art and the images that we're creating right now? It's something to think about, for sure. Thanks so much for joining me for this.